people said. Tell me what God said. I don't care how they count me out. I don't care how they try to keep me down. Tell me what God said. Yes, I was lost in sin, lost in my attitude, lost in my discretion, lost in my decision making, but God found me. Somebody say, grace is still sufficient. Hey, don't tell me what people said about me. Tell me what God said. Tell me what God said. Woo. Those who were last in here, who've been down for so long, who've been tried, you shall be first. Yes. Genesis chapter 1 verses 26 and 27. If you haven't, say amen. Look what it's saying right here. Hold on. Then God said, who said? Who said? Who? Man said. Your sister said. Your daddy said. God said what? Let us make who? In our what? And in our what? Likeness. Why? So that they may what? Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky. Woo! Over the livestock and all the wild animals and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind, Jesus. In whose image? In your daddy's image. No, in your mama's image. In your supervisor's image. Now God said he made mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female. He created them. Now, with your permission, I want to seesaw off of that scripture. Go over to the book of Luke, chapter 22, verses 3 and 4. Look what it says. Then Satan entered Judas. He entered Judas, called Iscariot, one of the 12. And Judas went to the chief priests and the officers of the temple guard and discussed with them how he might betray Jesus. I want to go back to the part that says, and he discussed with the temple guards how he might what? Betray Jesus. I want to continue with the series we was on 2 weeks ago. I'm sick, but don't tell nobody. I'm sick, but don't tell nobody. Spirit of the Lord fall fresh in this place. Have your way this morning, God. These people are already jacked up. These people are ready and anxiously awaiting. Lord, they're receiving. Thank you for the blessings, Lord. Quadruple, manifolded blessings. Speak through me to these your people. You get all the glory, honor, and praise in Jesus' name. Let the church say amen. On your way to your seat, tell yourself, I'm sick, but don't tell nobody. Now put those hands together. I'm sick, but don't tell nobody. Yes, I'm sick. Somebody say, whoa! We ready today. If you love the Lord, clap twice. We ready this morning. Locked, locked, and ready to rock. The Bible declared that God made man in his image and after his likeness. Paraphrasing what Moses wrote going over to the physician Luke. Luke comes back and says, but this man that walks in God's image and after his likeness have decided to betray Jesus. How is it that you can be made of something so great and exhibit such negative behavior? This is what happens when people are sick but won't tell nobody. Sick is defined. It's affected by physical or mental illness. Somebody who's unwell. When you're sick, it can hinder you physically, spiritually, or even more so mentally. It's easy to diagnose what takes place with people who are physically ill. They have symptoms. They have a cold, they start sneezing. The room is too hot. They sweat when everybody else is cold. They lose their appetite, lets us know further that they are ill. But when people are mentally sick, it's harder to diagnose them. Normally when you catch somebody that's mentally sick, it's always when they're almost in dire straits. That you can tell yourself. You're getting little clip-ons like, something wrong with him. You ever seen people like that, Mother Ann? You didn't really know him, but you knew enough as a mother, the spirit is on you, and you look at him and just say, how you doing? Something is wrong with him. You do it a lot of times with your kids. Dr. Marks, when your girls brought a boy home, they wanted you to meet him, and you were nice, and you were, how you doing? Yes, God bless you. And you walk away, that ain't gonna work. Why? Something is wrong with him. Because it's easy to dissect what's taking place or transpired in somebody's life physically. And it's a little tougher, but eventually, if you wait around long enough, you'll see that something might be wrong with them mentally. But I want to talk about the one you can't see. Yeah, I want to talk about the one called spiritually. Hard to dissect and diagnose when somebody is ill spiritually. Because they do all the same things that those who are truly saved do, for the most part. They know how to have church. They got the jerk down. They got the wig. It jakes just right. It don't fall off. It jakes just enough. And people say, oh, this is a real service because Sister Slay is speaking in tongues. So you're now predicating the height of the spirit in the church by somebody else, another human who speaks in tongues. But Luke just told me that somebody who walked with Jesus would betray him. Not that he really wanted to, but he was sick. And he wouldn't tell nobody. You know, these people who go out here and obviously you don't really know what's really going on with them. I call them high cappers and fakers. They tell you it's their car, but they're leasing it. You look at them and like, man, you got it going on. How do you afford that? That no got to be $800 a month. They're leasing it. It's hard for you to live at home with mama and drive a 500 Mercedes-Benz. Or drive a Porsche that's $70,000, $80,000. It just don't make sense. Perhaps they could be ill mentally. Or the spirit could be jacked up. When you date these guys and they give you signs, ladies, don't think you're God. That you can change them. All you have to do is go to the physician and make the appointment. You can't change them. You got to go to the doctor. Because sometimes husbands are stubborn. How many ladies know I'm telling the truth? Husbands are stubborn. And you telling them forever, Shantae, baby, you need to go to the doctor. See, Sister Barry just looking like, I don't even want to shake my head. I want peace. We just had Father's Day last week. You've been smiling all week. But the husband won't go to the doctor. You telling him, Barry, you need to go to the doctor. I'm all right. So after a while, when the wives get tired of it, they do something. They call or go and make what? An appointment. Because they know to get you fixed, you need to see somebody of a higher call. Same things happen spiritually. When your husband jacked up from the floor up and he won't listen to you, you have to go and make an appointment. You have to get on your knees and make an appointment for your significant other. You don't even have to tell him you're making the appointment. He'll know when he get the appointment because something called the Holy Ghost will call his name, Jesus. Craig Jackson, you're next. Who's speaking to me? Yeah, your wife made the appointment for you because she realized you were sick and you wouldn't tell nobody. We got these imitators, these people who are counterfeit out here just taking advantage of the poor old Christian. But they can't really, let me say this, they can't really take advantage of you as a Christian because in Leviticus God says that he'll always pre-warn his children. Which leads me to believe that you saw it, but you didn't want to believe it. You know your husband was a crackhead, he was on drugs. You kept lying, you know the money kept getting missing. Jewelry gone, oh, he's okay. He's not okay. He's sick. And not only will he not tell nobody, but for imagery, you won't, Jesus. You won't tell anybody. And what happens? We fall off. Mr. Griffin, we just fall off. We fall way off because we refuse to tell somebody that we are sick. Like icebergs, people normally expose a small part of themselves and generally just the part they want to show. Like icebergs, people normally expose a small part of themselves and generally just the part they wish to show. How many know that's true? You only show people what you want them to see. You're a smoker, you won't smoke cigarettes in front of them. You'll wait till they leave. Or you'll tell them, excuse me, I'll be right back. And then you'll go outside and chain smoke. Puff that thing like never before. I've seen people do it. I've been made a believer out of them when I see people out there in 30-degree weather when I'm at work, they're outside. And the Spirit, know the Spirit by the Spirit because they all huddle up. Somebody don't even have a flick my bit. They get somebody else's cigarette. Put it up to theirs. When you're doing that, you're sick. But you won't tell nobody. What is powerful is when what you say is just the tip of the iceberg of what you know. I like this, Eric, because most people, their problem is they're sick because they tell everything they know. Okay, I thought I would get more amens on that one, but I guess if it hurt, just say ouch. The problem with this is they tell everything they want to know. They tell everything they know because they always want to be out front. You can't tell them how to scramble eggs. You can't tell them anything. They don't even have a house. You have a house. You got one, and you rent one out. They still won't listen to you. You have to look at those people and say, they're sick. They won't tell nobody. Because we go to the wrong sources when we're in need. It's a blessing when you can keep your mouth closed. For the Bible declared, be quick to hear and slow to speak. Well, Sister Jen, we don't exercise that. As soon as we get something, we can't wait to tell it. Child, I got my income tax back. And then you try to rub it in the ground. Honey, it went for $1,789.37, but I got something back this year. And people like, well, good for you. Now you can pay me back. That's $1,789.37. The essence of survival is being able to seek, or I should say see, the iceberg before it hits you. And that's one of mine. The essence of a survivor is being able to see an iceberg before it hits you. Now somebody is saying, well, what is an iceberg? An iceberg is a large floating mass of ice detached from a glacier and carried out to sea. What you see on screen is an iceberg. But the iceberg didn't just grow. This big iceberg has detached itself from something much larger than what it is. Yeah, the glacier that this was detached from is unbelievably larger than this. It's amazing how this thing, it breaks off from the source and it floats on out into the ocean and becomes independent, just like we do Christ. When we feel like we've gotten grown enough and we know 7 scriptures, all of them in the book of Psalms, but you know those 7 scriptures, and all of them come up under what? The Lord is my shepherd. You feel like now I'm ready to preach. I'm ready to detach myself. This is going to get good here. From the glacier. When you're really not, and you become a danger. Because it seems like on the surface, you know God. But oh, just follow them long enough. And eventually they will start to expose who they are, because the danger is not what you see. The danger always comes in what you don't see. Jesus. Just hang around long enough. Keep your mouth closed and listen. Yeah, you'll catch them in all kind of lies. Fabricating and all kind of, might have a different name if you let them talk long enough. A glacier, they don't start measuring something and calling it a glacier unless it's the length of 19 football fields. That's the minimal size that will merit something to be called a glacier. Now here's the thing though. Glaciers are made, Sister Shawn, off of water and snow particles. How could something so big accumulate in mass from something so small? And then produce something so deadly like an iceberg? Well, the same with us. When we're connected to Christ, we're made from the blood of the Lamb. When we disconnect from Christ, we then jump on the team called sin. And when you're saved, you don't start sinning big early, because you still have something called conviction. So you start doing little sins like a little white lie. That's what you call it, just a little white lie. You lie to your husband just a little bit. I'll put the money back, I'll catch it up. See, that's a little white lie, but you don't realize what you're forming is your own glacier. And you look up at the wild and you've lied so much until you become so solidified in your fabricating. Until now you look back and say, how did I get here? I'm at the point now where I'm lying to myself, which further confirms that I'm sick. But I can't tell nobody. I preach this by myself. I just can't tell nobody. And the glacier, when the iceberg decides to separate from the source, it floats out into the sea. And that's when it becomes dangerous. When it floats out into the sea, because you can't really see what's out there. Men have been subjected to this, Elder Bentley, for so long. Because all we see in a woman is 36, 24, 36 for those who are 40 and older. It's a song called She's a Brick House. We only see the top, the figure that is, of what a woman looks like, and we never see what's inside. We never see what's beneath, what's below the heart. We never measure that, and then you find out that the more you date her and you get close and commit to her, she's a lunatic. Everybody in the family talking about you. Going to 4th of July is so stressful, it feels like you're going to death row. Praying and hoping she say her family having something, but they didn't tell her because they know she's a lunatic. You're stuck with this because you refused to be patient enough to see what was underwater. You refuse to see what's really on the inside. Don't be so quick to call people friend. You get hurt and disappointed by more people that say they're your friend when they're really up underground your enemy. Jealous of what you got. You can't help you went to school and got degrees. You can't help you make a decent living. It ain't your fault. You sweated. Look at you and your man and say, I can do better with him than she can. I don't know how Joanna got done it. He needs me. I know how to make homemade pies. I am a pie. And Donna's looking and saying, now if you know I'm married and you still coming at me like that, I need to RUNNOFT. I need to run because she's starting to show what's under surface. When you see what's under surface, you have to believe it. That joke ain't working when you meet him. He ain't trying to get no job. He'll say whatever it takes to get in. He want to be like a baby kangaroo. He looking for a couch to sleep on. Woo, it's going to get rough in here today. You better run to children's church. But that's the truth. That's the truth. We see these things floating, and we're so quick to open up to people and things without really observing and seeing what they really are, measuring, gauging. Why the Bible say let patience have her perfect works? Because through patience, you're better able to identify a spirit. It says, know the spirit by the spirit. That's the only way you'll know somebody, by the spirit ultimately, because people can make their mouth say anything. You can't put too much of a percentage on what somebody's saying. You have to watch for a long time and see what they do. Yeah, and you can't tell a real person until they're in the fire. Because fire reveals character. I don't know what I'm riding with, who I'm calling my friend. They won't even fight with me. You better bet every cat I hang with gonna throw down. If I throw, you better ask Eric Harden in the back. Eric will tell you, West Side. He saved too. Don't try him. I got to have them kind of cats with me because I know my spirit. So I need people that's riding with my spirit. So just in case we go out and have a World War III, I got some reliable soldiers with me. Yeah, you got people walking with you every time. They good with you until something go down, then they run. You can't find them. What the song say? When I was sick, I couldn't find nobody. That's your so-called friends. Because on the surface, they showed everything they thought you wanted to see. But underground, they always had something called a motive. Motive. And when you get into it, it's too late. These icebergs are dangerous. This is how big they are. They're so dangerous because they say when they flip, they're so big they can cause tsunamis. Yeah, when they flip, that's how big icebergs are. When they flip, they can cause tsunamis. They can cause storms because that's how huge they are. So people stay a great distance away from them, and they stay an even farther distance away from glaciers. And the reason they stay a distance away from glaciers is because these icebergs are constantly trying to separate from glaciers. But they fall off into the water. So you got to be at least 3 miles from glaciers, or you put yourself in serious danger. That's serious when we talk about the spirit man. You got to keep your distance from people until they show themselves strong. You're not with Shabbaking and speaking in tongues. Anybody can do that. But how they live, are they about peace? Do they have a peace that surpasses all understanding? Do they pray for their enemies in spite of? Are they there? Do they sacrifice themselves? The Bible declared that we should sacrifice first for God, then for others, and lastly ourselves. Do they do that? If they're not doing that, then you need to check them. Yeah, check them quietly. Because if you open your mouth, it gives them opportunity to react. The devil can't stop you if the devil don't know what you're saying. So if I keep my mouth closed and start thinking, the devil gets confused. What I do to start, when I don't know what's going on, and I don't want to pray out loud, I start singing songs. I do my wife, when you so old, pass me not, oh gentle Savior. I'll stop out right there. I don't sing these new pretty songs, Mother, because the new songs just don't hit me where I need to be hit. They fine for praise and worship, but every now and then, you got to go back and catch one of them songs Mama and them sang over on the motherboard. Do not pass me by, oh Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. This is my favorite part right here. Yes, why? Do not pass me by. I have to go back, Mother, to the old songs. I can't sing all these new, I like all these new guys, but they good when I'm driving and it's cool. But when I'm in a storm, I have to go back and get some. I have to go back and get a charge to keep our hand. For the Lord to magnify. I have to go back to those songs that don't require me to be angelically sound in songs. All they want to do is hear from the heart. That's just me. Now, I don't know about you. You may be more skillful. That's just where I am. Because when I'm sick, I know if I don't get help soon, I could easily revert. That's a pastor speaking who's telling the truth. If I don't constantly seek help, I'm one of those that when I go to God, I make my appointment for the next 10 weeks. Thank you, God, for listening to me today. I'll be back in the morning. I'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Then check on me after tomorrow. I'll be back the next morning. Might be back a little early after that. My daughter go back to school. Need more time with you. I make those appointments early and often with God because I know I'm sick all the time. You're going to be sick. You're going to get hit with infirmities, so says the Bible, when you're doing great things, are destined for great things from God. There's no way I can get around illness when I'm a child of the Most High God. When he tells me that many of the afflictions of the righteous, but God comes to conquer them all, which lets me know that there are times that I'm going to be sick. All I can do is get to the doctor and trust God. We talked 2 weeks ago about the Titanic and how the Titanic was supposed to be the greatest ship ever built. And it was cruising from Europe to New York. The guy architect who designed the ship was on the ship at the time he designed it. He was very boastful and brave. He constantly told people there's no way this ship can break. He didn't know about God. He forgot the text that says the earth is the Lord's. And the fullness thereof. Don't ever think you're too saved when you're bigger than God. He gets on this ship and they're out there in the sea and they're getting close to America and they hit one of those icebergs. They hit this at night. When they saw it, they were 30 feet away from it, didn't have enough time to detour. Have you ever been in a situation where the situation came up, but it was almost too late? You was like, oh, I know I'm going to take a hit, but if I can just try to at least minimize the casualties, Jesus. I've been there where I got hoodwinked and hit from the side, and I said, well, at least let me try to minimize the casualties that take place. The ship was headed, they say when that iceberg hit that ship, it ripped the whole side of the ship, and this is what happens. Anything that man makes is built to be destroyed by God. Anything you do can be trumped by God. Any issue you have can be cured by God. But I found out that we do more complaining about our issues and our situations and our environment than we do claiming victory. We don't care. I wonder what the man said who created the ship, who was the architect, like, as we going down, I don't believe it. I can't believe what I built. I checked and double checked, triple checked everything. And this is what I get when I meet up with something I didn't see. I use the illustration, you don't really know surprises until you got a kid who go to college. Can I get an amen? That's when surprises come. You thought you had that whole thing figured out. And it seemed like every time you got it figured out, the bursar's office, the financial aid office is always calling. You need to pay this. Well, we paid everything we thought we had to pay. You got to pay this right here. My child ain't going to even use that, but you got to pay it. Or you go to the doctor, and he gives you something, a diagnosis that you never thought you would hear. You've been running every day. It would be different if you weren't working out, but you're one of those who work out all the time. You're a health fanatic. And then you're looking at that person who eats cheeseburgers all the time and they still healthy and they don't have no diagnosis, and you look at yourself and you're like, God, why me? Why you let me hit this iceberg? Oh my God. So what? I just went to the doctor because I thought I had a cold. I didn't know I had this. That's what happens with icebergs. They appear one way. Oh, but the magnitude of their destruction presents in a different way. It's hard to understand and fathom. They say how cold this water was and how deep it was. The water that the Titanic went down was like 120 feet deep. Who gonna be able to? Who can swim? And then it was so cold because they was up in the north region. The icebergs don't come down south. They where it's cold. They was up in a place that if you stayed in the water more than 2 minutes, you were going to die anyway. What a terrible way to have to live. I don't care if you're saved or not saved. That's still a tough way to have to make decisions and live. And how long it took people to get to them back then, James? It took a couple hours for people to even get to them. Those who lived, all because of an iceberg they didn't see. That's why it's important to understand who you serve. Because the person you serve made a proclamation to you saying, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. The reason he said he'll never leave you is because he knows at some point there's going to be a twist and turn that comes that you weren't expecting. There's going to be something that comes that you didn't foresee coming. You didn't forecast this, but it came, and now you're about to lose your mind. That's why he put this in place. Ship broke in 2 sections. They say it hit the seafloor at 35 miles per hour. 35 miles per hour. Turn over to John. Chapter 6, verse 70. John chapter 6, verse 70. I want to get back to something. John chapter 6, verse 70. He says, then Jesus replied, have I not chosen you, the 12? Yet one of you is a devil. Jazz, how do we explain this? How do the Lord and Savior pick a rotten pecan? How does he pick a rotten apple? He says it here. He says, I picked the 12. I chose the 12. Yet one of you is a devil. Why would he come back and say you are a devil? He says that Judas is a devil because he wants us to know that he's well aware of this iceberg. What he said? He said, I want you to know I chose him. I know he's a devil. What he's saying is, I know what I see on top, and I know what I see below. It's the below that drove Jesus to Judas. And sometimes you have enemies and you don't know why you have these enemies. It's because God choked. Some demons were assigned to you because of your greatness, your potential, and what God has for you. You ain't did nothing wrong. They were assigned Jesus. And you start looking at yourself and doubting yourself and not understanding your value. You have great value. The devil is just sending everything. God say, that's what I need in your life. Not Cinderella. I need a Barabbas in your life. Because the Barabbas in your life is going to make you better. So quit playing, quit complaining when you got people lying on you. No, rejoice. Quit complaining when people talk about you. Yeah, you got to, because they were sent, because God knew what was up under the water. He knew exactly what you needed. You need what's up under water with the iceberg, because that's going to make you greater. He never said that greatness comes with comfort. We got too many people, Elder Ben, who think because they become Christians and get their life to Christ, it's over. I hate to tell you this, but with God's permission, the battle just started. That's why he say the battle is not yours. The battle is not yours, it's the Lord's, because when you come on his side, he'll fight for you. The reason you getting beat up now is because you haven't made the decision to come on his side. So you fighting the devil's game alone. And you're tired. You become lethargic. You want to quit. You don't pray no more. You don't read your word no more. You stay away from the people that are saved for real. And you start being with people that make you feel good. You better get with some people who gonna challenge you. You better get with some people who going where you're striving to be. I never understood this with people in business. They get with cats who don't have a business, and that's their opinion, as if they know. The real problem is, the reason they don't ask somebody who have a business is because they don't want them to know they don't know. When the person they gonna ask didn't know, when they asked somebody who knew, and they go, but we don't want people to know. Icebergs are even in business. A lot of people business haven't fluctuated because they don't want people to know what they don't know. Preachers, pastors won't help other pastors. Preach, sir. Preach, sir. Because they're afraid to tell them they need help. They're afraid to stand up. They're afraid to be talked about. They're afraid to be left alone. I don't care. He prepared me through a lot of individual wars for pastoring when I was young. So when these icebergs came, they can knock me down, but I'm going to get back up. That's what God is looking for. He wants to see, are you strong enough? Not if, but when you get knocked down, can you get back up? He wants to see, that's my child. Man, they slapped me and knocked me down. Let me go over here and love on them anyway. Oh, it don't make sense to run tape, but it's God's way. And God's way don't make sense. Yeah, his way make you feel like you're retarded. You man, why am I apologizing again? I didn't do nothing. I got to apologize again? Yes! Because every time he took a hit on that cross, every time they stabbed him, pierced him, persecuted him, he was apologizing for you. He saw what you didn't see. He saw what was on the inside of you. That's why he said what? I know my thoughts concerning you. He know what's in you that you don't know yet, you haven't recognized yet, because he put them in you, so he knew you before your mama knew you. But the other part of that is Satan knew you before your mother knew you. Because spirits can dwell in places flesh can't. So when you come out, not only has God instilled in you, Satan amps have taken notes on you while you was in your mama belly. So by the time you're born, the demons aren't there anymore. They got whatever they needed, the pertinent information. They've moved on. They took note. When the kid come out, we know right now this joker here is going to be something. This joker just going to be a hellion. Don't even worry about him. He already has the symptoms. We need to keep somebody on this kid from day one. This kid has potential. So Satan keeps his amps on those who have purpose. Now, how do you explain that? Well, because one of his things, one of his resources is called bloodline. I'm going on home on this right here. I'm going home. The Satan checks your bloodline. That's how he gets an idea of the possibility of what you can and cannot be. He knows the chances are great. If you're going into a single parent home, you'll end up in jail. 90% of the people that end up in jail, men end up in jail, come from single parented homes. You know, when she gave birth to that baby by herself and didn't have support, you know the chances are greater. You're going to self-incarcerate because of your bloodline. You praying for all this other stuff, cars and cigars and good shoes and Gucci belts. You better start praying for your bloodline. You better start praying that hellion about your bloodline, that it stops here. It won't get to my children. If I have to fight day and night, it ain't coming no farther. I am the dam for my family. I'll be sick, but they'll live. Long live my children. Yes. I'm sick. But don't tell nobody. He barely making it to work. Walking to the bus station seems farther and farther. It ain't but 2 blocks, but it seems farther, especially when it rains. When it's cold. I used to watch my mama with my sister. My sister was born crippled. Her legs was in, I had to break them and straighten them. I used to watch my mom take my sister in a wagon to the doctor. For the few of y'all who are from the east side, you know where the village was, across from Carver Homes, Elder Billy knows where it is. I don't know if anybody else in here. Amen. God bless you, Michelle. But the village wasn't no place to play. Even the children were grown. Rats grown, everybody grown. You come out grown. Like Peter Wheatstraw just came out. You know, Peter Wheatstraw came out with driver's license. My mom would take my sister in that wagon, make sure she covered up good with a coat and blanket, and my mom would have a sweater on. Taking my sister all the way from the village. What's that street going into the town? What's the name of that street, Elder? Pryor Road. She would get on Pryor Road and walk all the way downtown with my sister in the cold. She was sick. Now hers changed. She couldn't tell nobody. What happens when you're sick and you can't tell anybody? there's nobody who can help you with your situation but God. Telling other people only hurts and hinders you more because it shows your lack of trust in God. You had a situation, but can't nobody know. Not the doctor. Not all that education. Didn't make that kind of mistake. Still human. Still human. People don't realize the higher you go up, the more pressure. The higher you go up, the less air, oxygen it is to breathe. When you see people with businesses and still working at a job somewhere, those people in a higher place, they don't have as much oxygen, Jesus, to breathe as you do. The choices they make, the nights of sleep deprivation that they take in, got to make payroll. I won't get paid. Make sure the people get paid in hope of the business continuing to grow. I'm sick, but I can't tell nobody. Jesus saw what Judas was hiding on the inside. That's what made Judas so prevalent. That's what made Judas a nominee for a biblical Oscar. I don't know nobody in the Bible outside of Jesus who played their role better than Judas. Everybody else along the way were making mistakes. Judas never made mistakes because that's who he was. So the Bible says when Judas was stealing money, when Jesus and them were taking up money and Judas was the treasurer, how many knew Judas was a treasurer? Oh, he was the treasurer. He kept the money. You say, Jesus, why you let him keep the money? You know what it was. You saw what was underwater. You saw that iceberg. Jesus said, because I had to keep him confident in who he was. I needed him not to forget and be confident in who he was so he can do what he needs to do so I can get to where I need to be. When your enemies come at you like a flood, give God glory. Give God glory because they need to do what they need to do so you can be what you need to be and you can get to where God got you going. Otherwise, you'll never get there. You'll become complacent and content because, truth be told, we all like comfort. You go on vacation to get comfort. Although these days, I don't know how many people get comfort when they go, especially when you got little kids. And once your kids get older, they're kind of self-sufficient. But when you go on vacation with your kids, you need a vacation from them when you get back. You don't spend too much money. You didn't mean to cuss them out, but you did because they asking for everything they see little Johnny and them getting. It was already tight when you took them. I wish I had some real people in there. It was tough when you took them. You already had a thick budget. You and your wife had already came to an agreement. The only way we can go is we're going to have to go to the store when we get there. We're going to have to eat. The children thought everything was great. They didn't see how sick the dad was spiritually. Lord forbid if we get a flat tire. Lord forbid. But the children just keep asking. The next thing you know, they just see what's under the iceberg. Daddy was great when y'all was going down there. But by the third day down, they knew Daddy had a monster in there. Daddy, we want to go to Disney. We're not going to Disney. Daddy, we want to go to Disney. We're not going to Disney. We're going to SeaWorld. That's all I can afford. We're going to SeaWorld. Dad, I want to go. Shut up! The kid is shocked. That's why the kids never cry first. They shock first, like what just happened? Then they process. Oh, that's up under his iceberg. I didn't see that. And the mom sits back there with a life raft. She dare not say nothing. She's an iceberg herself. And just waiting just to make sure she can lasso Daddy back in. She just over there, better you than me. I don't have the energy for it. Y'all come eat these peanut butter jelly sandwiches, get on back out there to the pool. And the church said, amen. I know I'm telling the truth. You've been there before. Yeah, one of the prerequisites is if I can't find a place that serve all you can eat breakfast, we ain't staying. I don't know about y'all, me and my wife, we live at Embassy Suites with our kids. All our kids know is Embassy Suites. It ain't because we like them so much, they serve free breakfast. Okay, I see a bunch of sedity Christians in here, a bunch of icebergs in here. Y'all know y'all right there with us. Y'all, they're the same with us. You know, wife check, because the wife the one checking everything. The white people, we're going to stay right here. They got breakfast, baby. Where's some little more? Yeah, but they got breakfast, all you can eat. Then they got happy hour. They got hot dogs and hamburgers at happy hour, baby. We don't drink, but they got well, most of us probably. We ain't doing communion every day. We're going to stay here. And the day they finally get there, y'all praying the credit card. I'll preach by myself. You sitting there, you hoping that that credit card run. And you better take that money out before we leave. Because we're 12 o'clock midnight you. What we used to call in school here the Waffle House. How many know what I'm talking about Waffle House in school? You know what I'm talking about. Appalachian State know what I'm talking about. You go to Waffle House, you ain't got no money at night. Everybody's a little inebriated, and you get to the Waffle House when it's crowded and order everything you want, and then you find your way to the door. Tell them my pastor had some issues. That's why I can preach it like this, because I'm telling you what I did. They always tell me to go first. I was a slower one. I was with some running backs and receivers. They could really run it. All right, Booty, you go first. I mean, we ordered what we wanted in that steaks, everything. They'll tell you steaks, scrambled egg with cheese, sunny side up. Give me some extra toast, everything. Get good and full. Let it get good and crowded. All right, William, you go ahead first. Like I'm going to the bathroom. I tell somebody he's sick. But it was in my bloodline. Can I preach it like I feel it? Jen, it was in my bloodline. My mama done taught me how to cheat when we used to go to the drive-in and they put us in the trunk. I took over the sickness from Mama. Mama, I know y'all watching in Savannah. You know I ain't lying. My mama know we'll have 3 boys in the trunk. And then depending on the car, they'll have kids in the floor. Okay, I see now I'm in the wrong group. Elder Billy, I see a couple of people can say amen on that. Yeah, and y'all don't really got a whole big box of church's chicken. And everybody, we ain't got no paper plates, no napkin. They knew we were there because we even kicked the bones out the window. And old check drinks and some sour cream potato chips. The whole car was sick. Goes back to the bloodline. I learned that from them, and I just took it on down to Athens. Figured away, my mom can get away with it. Mom, I mean, it was a couple of adults. My mom wasn't making that decision by herself. It was a corporate decision. Cousins in the car with me. We all, and then once we get inside, you can't hardly breathe, but you better not say nothing until they get past that man up there at the gate. So you can go, and when you feel the car going back over those humps, you look in the back, we made it, boy. Get out the car, ain't enough room to even watch the movie in the car. You on the hood of the car, it's crazy. Oh God, I'm sick. But we just couldn't tell nobody back then. Who was to tell? We all were from the same cloth, from the same area, same economical status. That means we all were thinking the same way, doing the same things. And like people in jail, when you go to jail, especially Fed time, if you're not true about being delivered, you start picking up crafts and get better at what you do. Ask me how I know. I'm glad you asked. I've been there. And that's the conversation in the federal pen. It's either how you're going to get out or how you got caught. Yeah, I knew that would hit home. All they do in jail with time is figure out how you got caught. So if I get out, I know not to do that. I was in there with some young guys in the federal pen. James, they were doing that counterfeit money. I had just saw this on the news a couple of days earlier. They were going around killing Blue Flame and Magic City. What's the other strip clubs? All those strip clubs. I don't want nobody to say somebody almost said who was married. God stop me. Because your wife don't need to see that part of your iceberg until it's delivered from it. But that's what they do. They learn how to become better at what they do. Same thing holds true in your environment. If you don't stretch yourself and start getting around people that'll help you grow, that'll take you somewhere outside of a little league football game, ain't nothing wrong with that, but take you to something that that's artsy or something, that a new restaurant outside of Bojangles. Take you somewhere. It's a lot in this world. But 90% of who we are is still below the surface. We haven't even tapped in. But they say that, Einstein said that we only use 10% of our brain. What happens if you use 15%? You're a genius. 15%. You're a genius. We only use 10% of our brain. And then most people now won't even do anything to try to enhance their brain knowledge. They would rather not go and buy a CD, even when they have them on sale. You won't buy a CD from the church. You're going to go out to church and get that chicken. Now here's the thing right here. You get the chicken in 6 hours, you're eliminating the chicken. You get a CD, it stays with you forever. But we don't choose that because we're sick. We're sick from history. We're sick from our bloodline. We're sick from not knowing and not even knowing how to utilize resources. There's more to life than welfare. And I don't knock welfare for those people who are in school and who work and who trying to get better. Fine, let's help them. But I'm talking about those cats, y'all might not know nobody, who she's sitting at home every day getting $500 worth of food stamps. You working every day and you having the budget when you go to the store. You working sun up to sundown. 7 days later, leave here, go play at another church, and you see her in there with some house shoes on, hands sagging, looking dusty, got 2 buckets. You and Joanna sitting there, y'all having a cat. Now, baby, get the Kroger brand. No, we can't afford no. You better put them chicken breasts back. You better get them legs. Okay, I can't do this stuff. You get sick. You become sick. And I've gotten to the point, I've been praying about I do better so that my wife don't let me go shopping with, because I had started becoming belligerent. I started becoming obnoxious. I had started losing my Christianity because I get in line and I see the dude with her who's looking the same way, hair braided, and then she come up with an iPhone better than mine. I'm going to finish after this, I promise. Let me close my Bible. We'll finish next week. But I got to get this out. She got a better iPhone than mine. I'm looking at mine. Mine got age on it now. Mine vested. And she got the new phone, and you look at all she getting: T-bone steaks, ribeye, frosted flake, Tony Tiger now. I mean name brand ice cream, not the Mayfield, Bluebell. All kind of stuff the kids just eat, just all kind of snacks. And you look at your little red, you got the little red thing that you pick it up, and your wife got some meal and stuff. She ain't got quite enough to make the biscuits, but she got what she can to do the best she could with making them. So where I'm from, it wasn't about the ingredients you had to get from the store. Where I'm from, it was what you had in the refrigerator that determined the ingredient. Boy, come on now. It was what it was in the refrigerator that determined the ingredients. So yes, Mama made biscuits that didn't all the time rise. But we ate them anyway. She'd tell us, put enough syrup on it, you can't tell the difference. Yes, we used to have chicken franks. We couldn't eat the ballpark hot dogs, ballpark franks. We had chicken franks, which probably was everything they didn't want on the pig. Mama taught us how to pray over it. We didn't realize we were sick. I didn't realize we were poor, and I'm done, until I got to college. Mr. Griffin, you can attest to this. When you go to a big predominantly white college, that's when you start realizing I was poor and didn't even know it. I didn't realize how mentally sick we were. that we really had a survival mentality and didn't know it because the whole environment was conducive to the same mentality. Hear me, church. You can't hang around people who ain't trying to be saved for real and expect to become saved. You need to be around people who are going to draw you and make you better. Cats in school driving with my mama inspired to drive. They had cars I couldn't even pronounce, my same age. But what that did, it made me better. When I started seeing their iceberg and saw what they had and how they always wore polos and all, when I was coming up, I thought only grown people wore polos. The guys in my school who wore polos stole them. Seriously. When Riches were downtown, before Macy's really got on the scene, it was Riches. How many know what I'm talking about? And they would come downtown and they'll go steal them. And when they steal them, they'll swap shirts out every day. So Bear wore the blue shirt today. I had the white one on. We're going to switch after school, get on the tube. I go home and wash it. He'll wear the white one tomorrow. I'll wear the blue one. Those are only cats in school who could afford it. I didn't realize until I got down to Athens that you can have this stuff at such a young age. But if I didn't see it, it would have affected my bloodline. And my daughter's iceberg up on the ground would have been jacked up more. So don't apologize when you do great things for your children. You don't have to apologize for working hard. We apologize too much. You don't have to apologize for being a business person. You don't have to apologize. That's the way the world turns. Our people are not accustomed to that. That's the way the world comes. You got to work this thing. You got to work what you got. Don't apologize. You're trying to make sure that what your children have underground is substance. It's quality. It's good. So what you don't see with them, you don't have to see it because you know the pedigree that they come from. I knew her mama. Her mama's good. That's a good kid. I know. So it don't matter what I see up top. When I know where they came from, I know what's up underground. That's how Satan knew about. That's how Jesus knew about Satan. Judas. He knew where he came from. I don't know how many people really study it like this, but this is it. He said, when he met Judas, the first thing Judas said when you really study Judas didn't tell him about himself. The first thing Judas did was tell Jesus about his father. But Jesus never told him about his father. He let Judas come up. The first thing he did was brag on what his father had because he knew the significance of bloodline. We got to stop. Put your hands together. God bless you. Hey, we'll pick up next week. I promise you. What we're going to deal with next week is unbelievable. What we're going to look at next week is unbelievable. It's going to show us this is crazy, but it makes sense to me when God gave it to me. How we use God to run from God. Make sure you're back next week. Next week we're going to talk about how we use God to run from God. And I'm going to take my time and go down those bullets, and that'll conclude this series. Make sure you're here. Make sure you're prompt. Because next week lassos everything that we talked about last week, and the week before last and this week. I'm sick. But don't tell me. If you're one who needs prayer this morning and you got some issues in your life, as the ministers come on down front and get prayer. I don't care what they are, just come on down and get prayer.